What happens when America's beloved country queen faces off against one of daytime TV's most outspoken hosts in a battle that nobody saw coming? In just 31 seconds, a friendly conversation turned into an all-out war that ended with one of the biggest names in entertainment storming off the set. Make sure you subscribe to this channel for daily videos exposing Hollywood's darkest scandals. Last night on The View, what started as a celebration of Dolly Parton's latest charity work quickly spiraled into one of the most shocking moments in talk show history. The tension in the studio was electric from the moment Dolly walked onto that stage, her signature smile lighting up the room as the audience erupted in applause. But nobody in that room could have predicted what was about to unfold. Joy Behar greeted Dolly with her usual confident energy, complimenting her outfit and thanking her for coming on the show. "Dolly, you look absolutely stunning as always," Joy gushed, though some viewers would later say there was something slightly off about her tone. "That jacket must have cost more than my first car." Dolly laughed, that familiar musical laugh that has charmed millions. "Well, thank you, Joy. You know me. I always say it costs a lot of money to look this cheap." The audience roared with laughter, and for a moment, everything seemed perfect. The first few minutes seemed completely normal. They talked about Dolly's new book program for children, her imagination library that had now given away over 200 million books. "It started with just wanting to help kids in my home county," Dolly explained, her eyes lighting up with genuine passion. "But it grew into something so much bigger than I ever dreamed. Now we're in 5 countries, and every month another community joins us." Sunny Hostin jumped in with enthusiasm. "That's incredible, Dolly. You're literally changing lives, one book at a time." "That's the goal," Dolly said warmly, "because I believe every child deserves a chance to learn and dream and become whoever they want to be." They moved on to talk about her latest album, a collection of rock covers that had surprised a lot of people. "I've always loved rock and roll," Dolly explained. "People think of me as just country, but honey, I'll sing anything if it's got a good melody and touches the heart." She told a hilarious story about recording with some legendary rock musicians who were intimidated to work with her. "Can you imagine? These tough rockers nervous around little old me. I told them, 'Boys, I'm just a girl from Tennessee who likes to sing. Let's have some fun.'" The audience was eating it up, hanging on every word. Whoopi asked about Dollywood, and Dolly's face lit up even more. "Oh, we're expanding the water park this year, and we're adding a whole new area dedicated to Southern Appalachian culture. I want people to understand where I came from. The music, the crafts, the traditions. It's important to me that we preserve that heritage." For about 10 minutes, everything was exactly what everyone expected from a Dolly Parton interview. Charm, humor, heartfelt moments, and that infectious positive energy she's famous for. Anna Navarro asked about her beauty routine, and Dolly joked about how much hairspray she goes through. "Let's just say I'm single-handedly keeping the hairspray industry in business," she quipped. But then, as the commercial break ended and they came back live, you could sense something shifting in the air. Joy had that look on her face, the one regular viewers recognize. That look that says she's done with the softball questions and ready to dig into something real. But then, Joy shifted gears. She leaned forward in her chair with that look she gets when she's about to dig into something controversial. "Dolly, I have to ask you something that's been on a lot of people's minds," Joy said, her voice taking on a more serious tone. "You've built this image of staying out of politics, staying neutral, but some people are saying that staying silent is actually taking a side. What do you say to that?" The smile on Dolly's face didn't fade, but something changed in her eyes. You could see it if you were watching closely. "Well, Joy, I've always believed that my job is to bring people together through music and through love," Dolly responded, keeping her voice sweet but firm. "I don't think dividing people helps anybody." Joy wasn't backing down, though. She pressed harder. "But Dolly, when there are real issues affecting real people, don't you think someone with your platform has a responsibility to speak up? I mean, You've got millions of fans who look up to you. Dolly shifted in her seat slightly, and her hands clasped together in her lap a bit tighter. I do speak up, Joy. I speak up through my actions. I've donated millions to literacy programs, to hospitals, to disaster relief. I've helped fund vaccine research. I help people regardless of their politics or anything else. That's wonderful. And nobody's questioning your charity work. Joy interrupted, talking over Dolly in that way she sometimes does. But I'm talking about using your voice on important social issues. Don't you think that I am using my voice? Dolly cut in, her southern accent getting a bit sharper. I'm just not using it the way you want me to use it. Joy's eyebrows shot up. So you admit there's a way you could be using it, but you're choosing not to? That's not what I said, Dolly replied, her smile now completely strained. What I'm saying is that I choose to use my platform to unite people, not divide them. But Dolly, Joy leaned even further forward, sometimes unity isn't possible. Sometimes you have to choose between right and wrong. And I do choose, Dolly said, her voice getting a little louder. I choose love. I choose kindness. I choose helping people. The other hosts shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Whoopi tried to jump in to redirect the conversation. You know, Dolly has a point about Joy kept going, barely acknowledging Whoopi. I just think it's interesting that someone who claims to care about everyone stays so quiet when certain groups are being attacked or discriminated against. When voting rights are being stripped away, when people's basic human rights are on the line, doesn't staying quiet make you complicit? Dolly's famous smile was completely gone now, replaced by a look of genuine hurt and rising anger. Now hold on just a minute, Joy. You don't get to sit there and tell me I don't care about people. I've spent my entire life caring about people. Just because I don't get on television and preach about politics doesn't mean I don't care. So, you admit you're avoiding politics? Joy shot back immediately. I'm not avoiding anything. Dolly's voice was rising now. Something nobody expected from the usually calm country legend. I'm choosing love over division. There's a difference, and it's a big one. Joy let out a sharp laugh that echoed through the suddenly tense studio. Love over division? That's a nice bumper sticker, Dolly. But in the real world, sometimes you have to pick a side. You have to stand up and say, this is wrong, and I won't be silent about it. Maybe that's the problem with your world, Joy, Dolly snapped, and you could hear the edge in her voice cutting through. You think everything has to be a fight. You think everyone has to pick a team and go to war. Well, I don't operate that way, and I never have. The studio audience was dead silent now. You could have heard a pin drop. The camera operators didn't know where to point their cameras, swinging back and forth between Joy's determined face and Dolly's increasingly angry expression. This was not the feel-good interview anyone had planned for. Joy leaned back with her arms crossed defensively. So what you're saying is that you think you're better than people who actually take a stand on issues? That's not what I said at all, and you damn well know it. Dolly fired back, and the audience gasped audibly at hearing a curse word come out of Dolly Parton's mouth. Several people in the front row actually put their hands over their mouths in shock. You're twisting my words to try and make me look bad because I won't say what you want me to say. I'm not twisting anything, Joy argued, her voice getting louder and more aggressive. I'm just pointing out that your whole I love everybody act rings a little hollow when you won't speak up for people who are actually suffering, when you won't call out injustice when you see it. Act? Dolly's voice cracked with disbelief. She stood up from her chair, her hands trembling slightly, and for the first time in the interview, she looked genuinely furious. You think this is an act? You think I've been acting for 60 years? Dolly stood up from her chair, her hands trembling slightly. Act? You think this is an act? I have spent 60 years in this business, treating every single person I meet with kindness and respect. I've helped thousands of people get educations. I've created jobs. I've donated more money than you could count. And you have the nerve to sit there and call it an act? The tension in the room was suffocating. Sunny Hostin tried to calm things down. Let's all just take a breath here, she said gently. But Joy wasn't finished. All I'm saying, Dolly, is that good intentions aren't enough anymore. People need to hear you say where you stand. Where I stand? Dolly's voice cracked with emotion and anger. I stand with people who are hungry and need food. I stand with children who need books. I stand with families who lost everything in a fire or flood. That's where I stand, Joy. And if that's not good enough for you, then I don't know what to tell you. But you won't say anything about actual political issues. Joy pressed on relentlessly. You won't talk about voting, rights. You won't talk about health care. You won't talk about anything controversial. Dolly pointed her finger at Joy, something she never does. You know what's controversial, Joy? Having the audacity to tell someone else how they should use their voice. You think you're some kind of moral authority because you yell about politics on TV every day? Well, let me tell you something. I've done more good in this world by bringing people together than you ever have by tearing them apart. Joy's face turned red. Excuse me? I tear people apart? Yes, you do, Dolly said firmly. Every single day you sit in that chair and you divide people. You make them angry. You make them hate each other. And then you have the nerve to lecture me about caring? I speak truth to power, Joy shouted, standing up now too. I hold people accountable. That's my job. No, your job is to entertain people and sell commercials. Dolly shot back. Don't pretend you're some kind of hero. You get paid millions of dollars to stir up drama. Whoopi stood up between them. Okay, ladies, let's just stay out of this, Whoopi, Joy snapped. Then turning back to Dolly. At least I'm honest about what I believe. At least I have the courage to take a stand instead of hiding behind some fake folksy charm. That was the breaking point. Dolly's eyes went wide with fury. Fake? You think I'm fake? Let me tell you something, Joy Behar. I grew up dirt poor with 11 brothers and sisters in a one-room cabin in the mountains. Everything I am, everything I've built, I did it by being exactly who I am. I don't need to put on a show for anybody. This is who I am. But you? You sit up here every day playing a character, acting all tough and righteous, and you think that makes you real? Joy's mouth dropped open. How dare you? No, how dare you? Dolly interrupted, her voice shaking with rage. How dare you bring me on this show under the pretense of talking about my charity work, and then ambush me with this bull? How dare you question my integrity when you don't know a damn thing about me? I know enough, Joy fired back. I know that silence is complicity. Dolly let out a bitter laugh. That's real cute. You got that off a protest sign somewhere? Let me explain something to you about the real world, Joy. Not everyone has the luxury of dividing the world into good guys and bad guys. Some of us actually have to live and work with people who think differently than we do. Some of us choose to build bridges instead of burning them. Building bridges with bigots just makes you complicit in their bigotry, Joy retorted. And who decides who's a bigot, Joy? Dolly's voice was sharp as a knife now. You get to be the judge and jury of who deserves kindness. When someone supports policies that hurt people, strip away rights, discriminate, then yes, I'm comfortable calling that out, Joy said, crossing her arms. But I'm not supporting anything, Dolly protested. I'm just refusing to make everything about politics. That's a luxury a lot of people don't have, Joy shot back. A lot of people can't just opt out because politics is literally threatening their existence. I'm not opting out, Dolly insisted. Why is that so hard for you to understand? Why does everything have to be your way or the highway? Because some things are just right and wrong, Joy said firmly. Well, congratulations, Dolly said, her voice dripping with sarcasm. Must be nice to be so perfect that you can judge everyone else. Joy's eyes narrowed dangerously. Don't you dare try to turn this around on me. Who what? Dolly interrupted loudly. Who won't play your game? I've been in this industry longer than you've been on television, Joy. I know how this works. You act all friendly, and then you ambush people with your agenda. My agenda is equality and justice. Joy's voice went up several notches. Then maybe you should try showing some of that to me right now, Dolly snapped. Because nothing about how you're treating me feels decent. I treat you the same way I treat anyone who comes on this show, Joy said defensively. I ask the hard questions. No, your job is supposed to be having a conversation, Dolly said, her voice shaking with fury. Not prosecuting someone, not making them feel like they're on trial. If you feel like you're on trial, maybe that's because your position is indefensible, Joy said coldly. Dolly's eyes went wide. My position is that I want to help people. All people. And you're telling me that's indefensible? When helping people means you refuse to call out those hurting others, yes, Joy replied. I do call things out in my own way. Dolly's voice was almost pleading. By showing people a better way. Thoughts and prayers and charity checks, Joy said dismissively. Very convenient. Very profitable for your brand. Dolly went completely still, her face draining of color. My brand? You think I do this for my brand? I've given away more money than most people will ever see. And you're going to accuse me of doing it for branding? If the shoe fits, Joy said with a shrug. That's it, Dolly said quietly, but with steel in her voice. Dolly grabbed her purse from beside her chair, her hands shaking with rage and hurt. You know what? I'm done with this. I'm actually done. I came here to talk about helping children learn to read. I came here to talk about my imagination library and how we're trying to get books into the hands of kids who don't have any. I came here to spread some joy and maybe make people smile for a few minutes. But you couldn't help yourself. You just couldn't resist. You had to turn this into some kind of political interrogation. You had to try to tear me down. Joy crossed her arms defiantly, her face hard. If you can't handle being asked real questions, maybe you shouldn't come on talk shows. Real questions? Dolly's voice dripped with sarcasm and pain. Is that what you call this, real questions? You didn't ask me questions, Joy. You attacked me. You insulted me. You called me fake and complicit and accused me of doing charity work for branding. You questioned everything I've spent my entire life building. That's not journalism. That's not having a conversation. That's just being cruel. Ana Navarro tried desperately to interject, her voice soft and pleading. Dolly, please, let's just take a moment. Maybe we can... No, I'm sorry, Ana, but I'm not going to sit here one more second and let someone disrespect me like this, Dolly said, her voice firm and unwavering despite the emotion in it. I've been in this business for 6 decades. 6 decades. I've dealt with sexism. I've dealt with people not taking me seriously because of how I look. I've dealt with every kind of criticism you can imagine. And I've never let anyone treat me this way. I'm not about to start now. Joy threw her hands up in frustration, her voice mocking. Oh, so you're the victim now? Poor Dolly Parton. Can't handle a little pushback? Can't handle someone challenging your comfortable position? Pushback? Dolly's eyes flashed with renewed anger. Is that honestly what you call this? Is that what you tell yourself to sleep at night? That this is just pushback? Let me tell you what this is, Joy. This is an ambush. Is that what you call it when you invite someone onto your show under false pretenses and then spend the whole time attacking them? You didn't want to have a conversation. You didn't want to learn anything about me or what I believe, or why I do what I do. You wanted a target. You wanted someone to take your frustrations out on. You wanted to look tough in front of your audience. Well, congratulations. You got your moment. You got to tear down Dolly Parton on national television. I hope it was worth it. I hope you feel real proud of yourself. If you're going to run away instead of defending your position, that tells me everything I need to know about you, Joy said coldly, her voice cutting through the tension like ice. Dolly took a step toward Joy, and for a second, everyone in that studio thought things might actually get physical. Security guards near the edge of the set tensed up, ready to move. I'm not running from anything, Dolly said, her voice low and intense. I'm walking away from someone who clearly has no interest in actually listening. There's a big difference. And you know what the really sad thing is, Joy? We probably agree on more than we disagree on. We probably want the same things for this country, for the world. But you're so caught up in being right, so obsessed with making your point and winning your argument, that you can't see that. You can't see that we could be allies. You can't see that we could actually work together to make things better. But instead, you chose this. You chose to make an enemy out of someone who never wanted to be your enemy. Don't you dare try to turn this around on me, Joy snapped. You're the one who won't take a position on anything important. I take positions every single day through my actions, Dolly said, her voice breaking slightly. But those don't count for you, because they're not loud enough. They're not angry enough. Well, I'm sorry I don't fit into your narrow definition of what an activist should be. Joy rolled her eyes. Oh, please, don't act like you're some kind of martyr here. I'm not acting like anything, Dolly said, her voice quiet now, but seething with emotion. I'm just being myself. And if that's not good enough for you, then that's your problem, not mine. The two women stood there staring at each other for a long, tense moment. The entire studio was holding its breath. Finally, Dolly shook her head slowly. You know, I used to respect you, Joy. I really did. I thought you were smart and funny and brave. But right now, all I see is someone who would rather tear people down than build them up. Someone who values being right more than being kind. And that's really sad. I don't need your pity, Joy said through gritted teeth. It's not pity, Dolly replied softly. It's disappointment. Because you're better than this. At least, I thought you were. Joy's face was stone cold. Well, I guess we both learned something about each other today. I guess we did, Dolly said, adjusting her purse. She looked at the other hosts. Ladies, I'm truly sorry you had to witness this. You've always been kind to me. Then she looked back at Joy. And Joy, I genuinely hope you find whatever it is you're looking for. Because clearly, all this anger isn't making you happy. Don't you dare psychoanalyze me, Joy snapped, her voice cracking. It's all right there on your face, Dolly said quietly. You're angry at everything. And somewhere along the way, you convinced yourself that anger makes you strong. But it doesn't. It just makes you lonely. Joy's voice was hard. Get out. Just get out. I'm going, Dolly said. And I won't be coming back. Dolly didn't respond to that. She couldn't. The emotion was too thick in her throat. She just turned toward the exit, her heels clicking loudly on the studio floor in the otherwise silent room. Each step echoed. The audience didn't know whether to clap or stay silent, or boo or cheer. Most of them just sat there in complete shock, some wiping away tears, others with their mouths hanging open. Well, I guess that's it then, Joy called after her, unable to just let it end. Run away instead of facing the truth. That's what you do best, isn't it? Run away when things get uncomfortable. Dolly stopped dead in her tracks. Her entire body went rigid. For a second, it looked like she might actually turn around and come back. Her shoulders tensed up. Her hand gripped her purse so tight her knuckles turned white. You could see her taking deep breaths, trying to control herself. The whole studio seemed to lean forward, waiting to see what would happen next. But then something changed. Dolly's shoulders slowly relaxed. She took one more deep breath, lifted her chin high, straightened her spine, and kept walking. She didn't look back. She didn't give Joy the satisfaction of a response. She didn't say another word. She just walked with her head held high, every bit the queen she's always been, right off that stage and toward the studio exit. The camera caught Joy's face as she watched Dolly leave. There was defiance there, sure. Her arms still crossed, her chin jutted out, but there was something else in her eyes too. Something that looked an awful lot like regret. Or maybe it was vindication. Or maybe it was just the realization of what she'd done. It was hard to tell, and she masked it quickly. But it was there for just a second. Whoopi tried desperately to go to commercial. her voice shaky and uncertain as she struggled to find the words. "We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back," she managed to get out. But you could hear the emotion in her voice. This was not how anyone thought this day would go. The other hosts sat frozen in their chairs, not quite knowing what to do with themselves, how to process what had just happened. Sunny had tears streaming down her face. Anna was staring at Joy with an expression that was hard to read. Alyssa just looked shell-shocked. But Dolly was already gone, moving through the backstage area like a woman on a mission. She walked past the producers, who were frantically trying to stop her, trying to get her to stay, to calm down, to come back and finish the show. "Miss Parton, please, if we could just talk for a moment," one of them pleaded. But Dolly walked right past him, without even acknowledging he'd spoken. She walked past crew members standing with their mouths open, still holding their equipment, not knowing whether they should be filming this or not. Some of them called out to her, expressing their support, telling her they were sorry. A few even told her they thought she was right. But Dolly didn't stop. She couldn't stop. If she stopped, she might break down completely. She walked past the green room where her assistant was waiting, past the dressing rooms, past all of it, until she finally reached the main exit door. Her hand was shaking as she reached for the handle. She could hear people behind her, footsteps running to catch up, voices calling her name. But she didn't wait. She pushed that heavy door open with more force than necessary, and for just a moment, the bright sunlight from outside flooded into the dark hallway. Then, she stepped through into that light and let the door swing shut behind her with a heavy, final thud that seemed to echo through the entire building, like a period at the end of a very painful sentence. Inside, in the studio, there was chaos. The producers were yelling at each other. The hosts were trying to figure out what to say. When they came back from commercial, audience members were talking among themselves, some defending Joy, others absolutely appalled by what they'd witnessed. But through it all, Joy just sat there, staring at the spot where Dolly had been sitting just minutes before, her face unreadable. And just like that, one of the most beloved figures in entertainment walked away from the view, leaving behind a stunned audience, a shocked panel of hosts, and a confrontation that would go down as one of the most explosive moments in talk show history. The queen of country music had made her exit on her own terms, with her head held high and her dignity intact, while everything else fell apart around her.